Welcome to Goofy Getaways with your hosts, Amy Blades and Amy Fisher.
Hello and welcome to the Goofy Getaways podcast. I am Amy Blades, owner and CEO of Goofy Getaways Travel Agency. So excited that you are here. You may notice that I'm minus somebody. I'm minus my counterpart. The other Amy is actually on maternity leave, and I do have permission to say that. So more info to come on that when she's ready to share. But the exciting thing about that is that I have the opportunity to invite other people to the podcast. So thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. We're talking about Disney nostalgia today. There is so much to talk about, and I feel like we could talk about this for hours and hours, but since we don't have hours, how about we just get to what it is we're here to talk about? I am going to let this fabulous, beautiful lady introduce herself. Tell us who you are, ma'am, how long you've been with the company, and then let's jump right into the things that make us love Disney.
My gosh, what an introduction, but my name is Morgan Lind. I am a travels consultant with Goofy Getaways, and I think I'm about to wrap up my second year is what it is.
So yeah, too.
I'm still getting going, but it's been great.
Yeah. It is kind of fun when she says still getting going, because that's a whole other conversation too, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it takes a little while to grow your business. But once it clicks, it clicks. And I remember having this conversation with Morgan about a year in and pretty much telling her that I wasn't going to let her give up. And I'm like, just trust me. So yeah, let's talk about just really what we're here to talk about today. And thank you for being on this particular podcast. I think Disney, truly, when you think about nostalgia, you think about memories. Not everyone, but most everyone that you know, if you ask them about a memory, a childhood memory, a family memory, Disney is somehow tied to that. Vacations are some kind, tied to that. We're going to focus today, mostly on Disney, but it can be anything Disney too, just so that, that's kind of what we're talking about. Talk to me about your first, if you think about nostalgia, your first Disney, is there a memory or something that is the thing that made you fall in love with Disney?
Mm-hmm. It was something I think from a very early age. Even my brother, who's older, his very first movie in the movie theater was Little Mermaid. And so I think just from a very early age, as long as I can remember. So I actually don't even know if I can remember my first Disney memory or connection because of that. Our family was just a Disney family, and it was Americana to my dad, especially. So it was just very much kind of instilled. It was there. It was just, I was kind of born with it.
Part of your life. Yeah.
Yes, really. And I think the one thing I can really pinpoint maybe is Cinderella. I think I watched that at a very young age. My dad very much treated me like my prince one day will come and I'm his princess right now. And, that kind of thing. So Cinderella definitely is one I can pinpoint from a very, very early age that I fell in love with and had to just keep with me always.
With her too, when I think back to, and I'm not sure our age difference for sure, Morgan, but when I think back about the first Disney princess too, for me, Cinderella is one that I think about. And I was just that movie and that glass slipper. It was the first idea of a fairy tale that I can think of too. Cinderella being, wow, I want to be a princess. I think that that's one thing they did an amazing job of, just captivating that for little girls fantasy. I feel like that's a big thing. I've always said for people when they're like, oh, why do we have to pay for kids to go on field trips in school? And I'm like, you don't understand, when they actually get to go somewhere and they can see a redwood tree or they can see an airplane up close, or you know what I mean? So if they're instilling a princess, not little girls, we wouldn't have known what does it really mean to be a princess?
I think you nailed it. It's the fairy tale. It's the fairy tale. To me, that's what it is. It's the thing people think, oh, a Cinderella story. You say that in life still to this day when you're older. Oh, I love a good Cinderella story of someone winning when they were the underdog. I mean, it is. It's the fairy tale. So that is very much, I think, Disney as a whole for a lot of people, but especially for me, it was.
Would you say then she's kind of like a character for you? If you think about a character, would she be your character? When you think of Disney or when you think back, that's the one that you think of the most?
Absolutely. That was the one I knew the first time we went to Disney, to meet Cinderella. Oh my gosh, do I have to meet Cinderella? And we went to the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party And I dressed up as Cinderella,
I
of
know
course.
you
I said,
did. And it's
I
so
have
funny
to be
because,
Cinderella.
and I think about that too, because I think I do. And I think when I think of you and I think of Cinderella, I always think, I don't know why, like it's just a correlation for me. Like I think that, and I think last year or 1 year I had you in like an ornament exchange, and it was my favorite getting like a Cinderella thing because it reminds me, isn't it something how a story, just a fairy tale, just even as a child, maybe I'm wrong, but gives a little bit of a sense of hope. How else would you know about what you kind of would want as your future? Yeah, every little girl wants to be a princess, right? But well, maybe not every little girl, but you know what I mean? If we
Yeah,
wouldn't have
yes.
had that, just that memory or that move, that when you talk about nostalgia, that is for me really, that just hit something in my heart, in my head a little bit when you said that, as far as
Yes.
going all the way back. That's really the first tie to, wow, that's what it's like to wear a dress and to put your hair up in a
Hmm.
bow and have these. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's what Disney does so well, though. That's what I love about it is they do that so well. They make it such when you go to Disney World or Disneyland, I've been to Disney World a few more times than Disneyland now, but you go there and you do escape. They do such a great job of hiding the world around you and just really encompassing you into this world that they've created and making sure that you don't really have to worry about what's outside there until you leave. You know, you're there. Yes.
Just said this in a conversation not too long ago where I was talking about, even at 52 years old, I can go to Disney World and I love each of the parks. I can go to Disneyland. I love there is something to be said still at my age to walk in and see to Magic Kingdom and to see the castle. It takes you out of what's happening in the everyday world, and it really does. And it might sound silly to some people, it truly does give me just a feeling of hope sometimes, especially because the world that we live in is just crazy. And if you can have that tiny bit of hope or that tiny bit of fantasy, it still does that for me. And I think it does for you too. I think it does for people. Do you have like a childhood memory or something in your childhood that if you could go back to or do again that you would want to do, that you remember specifically, like maybe something different than what there is now, or if it is something they still do now, but something that you were like, oh man, I would love to go back to that moment. Do you have anything like that?
I do. And it's funny. We were just talking about the castle, that moment. I, I wish I could. I was 7 years old, I believe, almost seven. I think I was six, turning seven when I first went to Disney World. And we didn't go a lot as kids. I mean, a lot of people that know me have heard this story. We didn't vacation as a family. We didn't take vacations. We didn't do spring breaks. We didn't do all those types of things. We went to Disney and we only went about 3 times, which I know is said to be the average in a person's life. And I did it when I was a kid, but we went 3 times, but that was the only vacations we took. And so the first time I remember we landed at the airport, my dad had surprised us and secured a limo to take us to Grand Floridian. Back in the 90s, it was, I would say it was a different price for sure back then, because we've never stayed there again, but we still want to, but we secured that and got a limo to go to Grand Floridian, checked in, got all settled. And then that first moment of getting on the monorail, going to the front and seeing the castle, I want to relive that so bad because it's just, I wish I could remember it in a way. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I remember a little bit of it, but I wish I could remember the exact feeling.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I went back to Disney. I feel like it was probably 15 years since I'd been there, maybe 10 is all. But it had been a long time since I'd been there. And I was an adult by this point. I was out of college and everything by the time I went back again. And I went to Disney with my mom and my aunt and my uncle. We just happened to be there in Orlando for something. I can't remember what it was. But we were riding the bus and we pulled up to where you can see the castle from afar. And I went, oh, I mean, I did the princess thing and everything. And my aunt clicked the picture. And so we have this picture of me on the bus going, and it's just, that's what it is to me. It's the castle. It's the shining like light of Disney World is that castle. And that I wish as a kid, again, I could relive. But what my favorite thing is now is having people who have not seen it that are maybe adults see it for the first time and kind of
I would
seeing it through
agree.
their eyes. And even
I
kids
would
too,
agree.
but I
Even kids,
almost
but even as
enjoy
adults.
adults a little bit more than kids. Kids, I expect them to be excited.
Oh
I
yeah.
actually almost enjoy having adults see it for the first time. It's really an experience.
This summer we were there, when because we're there part of the year, and so I have an annual pass. And let me tell you, there's still
Mhm.
every day that I go, I could still it never gets old. I've had people say to me, "What do you even do?" And I'm like, sometimes you don't have to do anything. Like I just love to go explore. There's still so much to do as many times as we go, but this summer specifically, this really touched my heart. I was able to witness a grandma. It was her 90th birthday.
Yay.
So she had like her
Gosh.
kids and then her grandkids and her
Hmm.
great grandkids. Just happened that we were walking in at the same time. And Morgan, watching her at 90 see the castle for the first time, and her words were so, she goes, I've waited my whole life for
Oh my
this.
gosh.
And
See,
I'm like,
that's
that is magic.
hmm
That's
and
magic.
that's what
That
it is.
you can't.
That's what
Yeah.
they do. And
Oh,
I think there's people, we've had these debates before of, oh, Disney adults and Disney people and things.
uh-huh.
I think I've actually turned a lot of people into Disney people that
Yeah.
didn't really have much of an interest. And it's that
Before, because it's so
and
much more
seeing
than
it.
just, I love the characters, right? You know that. Like, I'm a sucker for the characters. I love getting my pictures with them, but it's more than that. It's a feeling, it's the music, it's the sounds, it's the smells, it's all of those things. I don't know. It's just, ooh, ooh.
Like I said earlier, they do such a good job of just immersing you into the world. And you're right, the smells, the sounds. I mean, you can pinpoint that when something happens or when you're just out in your everyday life, there's something that brings that back all of a sudden to you because our senses are so heightened
Absolutely.
there. It's
Do
just
you
there's
have
so much going
something
on.
like in thinking of that? Is there like a smell or a sound that makes you
Mm.
think of like Disney?
I would say the smell is probably me making Mickey waffles at home and smelling the waffles and knowing that I can get Mickey waffles
You're like,
there.
yeah, because it's like
Like,
it brings you back to the smell.
waffles, those are
I
my favorite.
know. I
But
know.
I think
What
it's
about, even
honestly
like the train? I'm just thinking of it now when I just
yes,
asked you that.
hmm
I didn't even think about that, but
the
knowing,
train.
hearing that when you hear the first, yeah.
It's I think just the music overall. When you get there, there's always something happening, and sometimes you don't even notice it. Sometimes you don't notice that there's music playing on Main Street, or you walk into Adventureland and there's something going on there. I mean, there's always some kind of background happening, and sometimes we forget to notice it. But to your point, that's almost my favorite thing to do now. When I lived in California and had an annual pass to Disneyland, I went sometimes by myself just to go because I could, and I paid for it, so I might as well go. And all I would do is just walk around sometimes. Sometimes I wouldn't even do rides or anything like that. I would just kind of walk around and take it in. And like you said, discover new things. So
Yes,
it
watching
is hard
people, the
to,
people watching. And it's not
yes,
people watching so you can pick on what people are. That's not my kind of people
right.
watching. My
No.
people watching is watching people see this man, see the fantasy, see
Hmm.
that's the thing for me. Watching it through other people's eyes is some of my favorite things to do. And I think that's why it's my favorite thing about planning trips for people also is being a part of, we're going to be a part of a memory that lasts a lifetime. That's what life's about, right? Memories. Just had this conversation with my kids the other day with the world's absolutely nuts. And some, like, what is the point of life? And I'm like, I think the point of life is the people that you love, being with the people that you love. You have to work to be able to live. It's about the people you love and the memories that you make together. And so I don't say, and I know that you know this because this is me being 100% genuine. I don't take lightly what we do. Like, I think what we do with our people's memories and planning those trips, and I think with owning, the reason I wanted to open my own agency was to even be able to reach more people, right? Through having your consultants plan. And just as we sit here, we talk about the nostalgia and this, the love and the magic. That's really what it's all about. If you had like a piece of advice to give to somebody that wanted to maybe like reconnect with like their childhood or reconnect with Disney, maybe it's been that 15 or 20 or 30 years since they've gone.
Hmm.
Would you have any advice? Can you think of any advice that you'd give them?
I mean, the best thing I can think of is honestly to just go.
Do it.
Life is way too short. And this, and a lot, everyone that knows me knows this too. I lost my dad about 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was right before my parents' 40th wedding anniversary. And for their anniversary, they wanted all four of us, my brother
To
and
go.
myself and my mom and dad, to go.
Yeah.
And my dad passed away just about a year before that. So my mom and my brother and I still went.
You still went.
We
I love
went to
that.
Disney. And it was something of my brother hadn't been there in 20 years since our last trip in 2000. That was our last trip as a family. My dad and my mom had been by themselves, which I always told them was a sin. I said, you're going without your children? How dare you? But exactly to your question, go. Just, you don't have to go and stay in the most expensive hotel. You don't have to go and buy everything you see. You don't have to do that. You can do it on a budget. It's okay. But just go, find a way. If you want to do that, go. And if you only have a couple days, you only have a couple days. But to our defense, that's what's great about using a travel advisor or consultant, because we can help you make the most of that. We can tell you, you can skip this, but do this.
Yeah,
I
honest,
recommend this or
honest.
that,
I think
and
that's something I love about and not to interrupt you, but I love about our agency
yeah.
and our philosophy. And I know that you would agree with this too. We want somebody to have the best experience. We aren't ones that are going to be an agency that's going to upsell every single thing. If you say, this is the amount of money I have, we are going to work our hardest to make that work. Because I think you're right. Just do it. Go make the memory. Go see the castle, go see the monorail, go listen to the train, go smell the waffles, just having that experience. I think that is the best advice. Like, just, 100%, just do it.
There's lots of ways to make things work. There's lots of ways to still enjoy yourself without having to add all those extras. And like you just said, we are not one to upsell. And I know I've sat here before for some families that have given me a very low budget. And I even thought to myself, man, this is going to be a challenge, but I'm going to figure it out, because I know they need to go on this vacation. I know they need to have these memories. I know they need to spend this time.
And I have clients that that repeat year after year after year. And, I always love doing first time trips. Of course, I love doing the repeat trips, but there are people who will say to me, this is our once in a lifetime trip. So this is our amount of money, which is, here's $25,000 to take our entire family. We want to do absolutely everything. And then I have people that'll be like, okay, I want to take our family. This is the only time we're going to be able to go. We've been saving for 3 years. We have $5,000. It doesn't matter the amount. I still want to make that trip, no matter what it is, tailored to that person. And I know that you're the same way. You and I have actually talked about, we've had conversations about people that you're like, man, I'm trying to get them this, trying to make this work. And we really do work hard. And I think we don't take that lightly. We take it as a huge responsibility. And I take it personal to try to be able to give not just the best service, but give them what they're paying for too.
Absolutely. And that, I think you nailed it there with taking it personal. Absolutely. Because again, we start remembering those trips, those first trips, those big trips, those small trips, even just, we start remembering all those things. But that's also a great thing about us too, is we've been there, we've experienced it. So we can help with that. Hey, it's better to go at this time than this time, and do this first and that last. And those types of things all add up to make it better. If your kids are not interested in this, then don't do that, and focus on this area.
No, I think about my favorite thing, honestly, about booking trips. My favorite thing is when they send me a picture and I'm like, oh, I was part of planning that. Like, oh, I feel like I'm part of that because we helped do. That's my favorite. Yeah, my favorite part.
I got to see, just recently, I had clients go to both the Halloween party, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, and Mickey's Christmas party as well.
That's awesome.
They went to both. So they were there for 10 days. They did 8 days. So this was, again, their big trip. And it was so much fun to plan. These are old friends of mine. And they sent pictures, they had posted pictures basically. And I kept seeing, oh my gosh, they got to take their granddaughter and their great granddaughter, actually. So their little one, who was almost 2, yes. And she's dressed up. It was Mrs. Potts and Chip that they dressed up for the Halloween party. And, they're going for the Christmas. It's just, Christmas is my favorite time there.
It's generational. That's the thing. It's generational. And those are memories that they're going to have forever.
And it's wonderful to see that. It's wonderful just to kind of live through that a little bit, like vicariously, really.
Yes.
But live vicariously through their trips even though we've had our own, it's still, you're right, we feel like a part of it. And that's what we love about this job so much. And I know I can speak for everybody at the agency, but I know me specifically, that is why I love doing it. It's difficult at times. It really is difficult. But I also enjoy and really love knowing that people are going to have those experiences. Not like mine necessarily, because everyone has their own, but they're going to have those experiences that right now, as we are talking, sharing these, they're going to end up doing in the future with each other and with other people too, and share those moments and those memories. And that's, like I said, life's way too short. We need to have
It is.
We
and
need
you
to
do
celebrate
need to have
more.
something to look forward to, or just be able to have a day where you can go and pretend like the world's not insane or whatever it is. Yeah.
You can have a Dole Whip plus waffles plus a corn dog plus some popcorn and
Because
not have any
calories
guilt
don't
until
count.
after. They don't
Right.
count.
Calories
Disney.
don't count
No,
when
it's
you're at
magic
Disney.
calories. They don't
always
count.
say that.
I say that like I haven't done that. I've 100% had all four of those things.
I know. If you had, okay, if you could think of like one word that would sum up Disney's like nostalgia, what would it be?
I mean, it comes to magical, which is very cliche, but I honestly, I think what my dad called it Americana. I think there is something about Disney and America and just the values that America had or has, and just it's something classic about that. That's something that I feel like only we can do. And while there's Disney parks around the world now, which is fantastic, I think it still comes back to Walt Disney here in California, having a dream, starting animation, and creating the characters that we all know and love. Everyone knows, whether you're a Disney fan or not, you know who Mickey is. You know who Minnie is. You know who Goofy, and you know these people, these characters. So I think that's something, when I've traveled to some different countries and had those vacations before, yeah, I've had some incredible experiences. But when people ask me, what is American culture, what's special about yours, I find it sometimes hard to pinpoint some things. And then you go to these other countries and you see it's so obvious. I don't want to say that, America is Disney, but I think that's just something that's classic.
It is. I mean, I've never
to
thought
our
of it that way,
country.
Morgan, and I have to say, I love so much something that even from this podcast with you, like I've heard you talk about your mom like quite a bit. And I know that you lost your dad, and I've heard you touch on that. I never realized what an integral part your dad was into your love for Disney. Thank you for sharing that with us, because that's something I'm going to keep with me too, in the way that he referred to that. I think there's some truth to that. Like, I really do. I think there's some truth to America. Like, honestly. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
It was always just a really cool thing with Dad, because he was such a proud American. He was a veteran as well, from Vietnam veteran. He was a police officer. He ended up becoming a lawyer. I mean, he was a very proud American. And so to take some time away, I mean, his job was very stressful. So to take some time away and escape, that was his escape. Disney was our vacation because
and you were his
he needed to escape. I'm the baby, plus I'm the only girl.
But I love that.
Princess for him. Yeah. And
I love that, Morgan.
He didn't get to retire, unfortunately. But his dream was to retire and go be one of those greeters at Disney with the little big Mickey, like with the big Mickey hands, and just kind of welcome all the princesses and stuff. Like, that was his dream. You think of people that know my dad, he was a tough guy. Absolutely, he was a tough guy. He rode Harleys, former cop and things like that. But he had such a soft heart in a lot of ways that I think that was that part that I held on to for so long with my dad was, it's because of Dad that I love Disney. It's because of him. And so every time I get to go, I have to take a little piece. That's why there's Dumbos all over the place. Dumbo and my dad, he waited, I think it was an hour back in the 90s when we first went. I had to ride the Dumbo ride for some reason. I had to ride it. And he waited in line with me for over an hour to ride that Dumbo. Quick. What is it, like 20 seconds? Something like that.
I know,
ride.
But it takes it back to, and he has that memory. You know how I feel about that too. Like, I feel like he's still here with you today,
he's there. And I believe that very much so.
About my faith in that. But I feel like, how special, and how now even seeing some of the things that you're saying about your dad, like that I can see in you. That's really cool. I didn't anticipate that on the podcast. So,
I know. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's been fun.
So if you know the Goofy Getaways podcast, you know that we always do the Amy's All In. So, all in, Morgan, give us what you are all in on with it being Disney or Disney nostalgia, or like if there's one thing that you're all in on with Disney, what would it be?
Oh gosh. That's so hard because there's so many things. Wait, all in.
I didn't say it was going to be easy.
No, it's not. And that's the problem is you're talking to a Disney person and asking to be all in on Disney. Everything. I'm all in for just the world of Disney, the movies. Actually, I watched Pocahontas this morning, one of my favorites, and one of the things that made me love Disney as well. I watched this
Yes.
morning. I said, I got to get in the Disney mindset. I need to have some Disney going on. And so while I was getting ready, I was playing Pocahontas in the background
Yeah.
and
Because
singing.
there's
And
some
it's,
days you need to do that,
you
right?
do, you got to escape. And so what I love is I have very, I guess, hidden Disney things in my house. I don't have a lot of big decorations that scream Disney. I have actually the little, I can see them on my desk right now, the pens that we got probably in the 90s, the little Mickey shaped, I'm going to grab it. I'm like, I don't want to grab it, but these subtle. My ornaments on my tree are the shiny, bright ornaments that are actually Mickey shaped that I got at the parks. They're very subtle, but I am all in on just Disney itself, of what it has brought to my life and what I've watched it bring to others' lives. And those little things. My little mug this morning was my glass Mickey cup that has kind of the shape in it. Even my boyfriend, who's not a Disney guy necessarily, I'm getting him there. We've working on it, and he's ready to go, but we got to plan it. He even goes, all right, well, that's cute. You know, I did a little Mickey cup. So there's little things, but there's little parts of my life that always have something Disney on it. Yep. And it's just, I'm
Which
all in
then
on that.
leads to even like when you think about the agency and like the relationships that you have with people and how Disney has tied you to some of those relationships. It really is pretty special. I
Mhm.
just, it's still sometimes mind boggling to me though, that like one man's vision and how it still carries on today. And I hope that it continues to. I hope that that is something that that they never ever stop what Walt's real vision was, in the customer service, in the imagination, in the fantasy. I hope, like, with whether it's renovations, whether it's new parks, whatever it is they're doing, a new fleet with cruises, just that they always stick to the core of it. Because when you think about all of the things that we just talked about, from one man having a vision and people telling him he couldn't do it, and still to this day, how many years later it
Right.
is. Oh,
Absolutely. It's inspiring to
yeah.
know that one person did that. I mean, we say that we can do anything. You know, we tell our kids, and I know I was told that a lot as a kid, which was great. You can do anything, you can be anything. We say that all the time, but sometimes it's nice to stop and really think about some of those people that really did do that. They really did defy all odds. And I think Walt is a fantastic example of that, and his brother continuing on his legacy by finishing Walt Disney World and getting that going, because that was Walt's dream. And it's just Disney as a whole, that name. There's something that just really resonates with that name, and just knowing that you're right. It all started with a mouse, one guy and a mouse. I know, we're sitting here. I need to
Well,
go. Now I
huge
need to be
thing.
there.
I know. Now I'm like, when is it that
When do
I'm
I
there
get to go
again?
again? Wait.
Oh, thank you so much, Morgan. I appreciate you
You.
taking time to talk about it. If
Of
you are interested in
course.
having Morgan plan your trip, Morgan, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
You can email me, of course, at morgan.lind@goofygetaways.com. Or, of course, you can go to our website. I'm on there. I also have some social media at traveling.with.morgan. So I do a lot, you know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We
Thank you,
appreciate you
Amy.
taking time. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
It's been wonderful.
All right, so you guys are getting a little bit spoiled today because we also have another one of our travel consultants, and I will let her introduce herself. But Sue is also a very dear friend of mine. She's been with me for a long time, but we're talking about nostalgia today. And so when I think about Disney and I think about you and I think about your family, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast so that you can kind of share with us just how and when Disney started, like for you and with your family. But go ahead and introduce yourself, and then tell me about your first, like, how about your first memory of Disney when you knew you were kind of like hooked and that you liked about
Okay.
Disney? Why don't we do that?
Well,
Yeah.
first of all, I am Sue Whitfield, and I've been a travel consultant with Goofy Getaways for 10 and a half years now. I had never experienced Disney that much as a child because I'm too old for that. So, I remember watching The Wonderful World of Disney, but honestly, it wasn't until I took my daughter when she was 2.5, and I went with another friend. And at that point, there was only the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and the campground to choose from. And we stayed at the Contemporary. And I came back from that trip, and my husband was not interested in Disney at all. And I said to him, we've got to go. We've got to do it. And we were going to go the next year, but then became pregnant with our daughter, Molly. So then I waited until she was 18 months and Katie was 4.5 years old. And we've been going yearly ever since. And they're 37 and 40 years old now.
I love
So
that. So do you think when you took Katie, what was your first Like the thing when you think about, like if you were just to think about that trip, what is like the first thing that you think
Hoop
of?
Did You review? It was my friend's son's 5th birthday, and we did Hoop Did You review, and they engaged him in the show with it being his birthday, and Katie got engaged in it too. And I was just like, oh my gosh.
I don't think I knew that.
I-
That's where she got engaged in.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
You know, and I mean, it's like, I just, you know, it's just always been that first thing that and the Contemporary. I remember the monorail going through it, you know.
Yes.
So
think how cool that was.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That
Oh
I
my
got to
God.
stay in that place. So
I love that.
yeah,
Do you have a character?
Mickey, Mickey Mouse. I am a Mickey Mouse fan. I pure and simple all across the board. And I don't really know why that came about, but I do love Mickey Mouse. And I mean, I have some other characters that I love, but I always come back to Mickey. Like,
It really is like
it is about Mickey.
all about a mouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. If there was like a moment that you could go back to from when you started going to Disney, whether that is, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it was, like throughout that time, as many times as you've been taking your kids, is there any kind of memory for you that like, if you could just go back to that moment for one moment, you would do it?
Yes. It was when we were Grand Marshals in the Magic Kingdom Parade back in 1996.
Oh my
Yes.
God, that is fantastic.
Yes,
I don't think I ever knew that you did that.
And I still have our Mickey ears hat that they gave us and everything, but that right there, that was fantastic.
Yeah, like how do you ever top that? Like
Exactly.
I don't think that you do.
You got to ride in the parade. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Yeah.
I bet your girls remember that too.
They do. They really do.
I mean, they were little probably though, right?
Yeah, they would have been 11 and 8.
Oh, but remember it.
So, yeah.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I love it. Can you come up with any other like? I never knew that, so I feel like now I want to ask you about your core memory. That would be a core memory. Do you have any other like core memories as a family? Like, do you remember Chuck's first visit?
I do. We stayed. So the first time that we ever went as a family, we stayed at Caribbean Beach, and it was only been open for a year.
Okay.
So when I went with my friend, we stayed at the Contemporary. We wanted to come back and stay at the Grand Floridian, but then when we found out the price of that, it was a little bit out of our budget.
I guess we can't do that.
So,
yes.
So the Caribbean had just been open for a year, and we stayed there, and it was the opening weekend of the Little Mermaid movie back in 1989.
Oh, okay.
The whole place was decorated with Little Mermaid stuff, and I mean, that family trip is a wonderful memory for us because unfortunately when we came home, Chuck's father's cancer had advanced, and it was not a really great time, but we had that memory, and that just like hooked us because then the next time we went, French Quarter had opened, so we stayed there, and then Riverside opened, and so French Quarter
I think it's fair to say, you'd let me say, I think that you still plan at least once. I mean, I know you go, but you still plan one trip a year that you guys do together.
Yes.
You and Chuck, and then sometimes you and the kids, but you really try. And I love that even now he'll go with you.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's something you do together.
He's a bigger fool about it now than what I am sometimes.
Isn't that funny?
Right now we have we have 2 trips on the books, and I have one more. Right now I'm working on Festival of the Holidays for next year. So.
Yes. Yeah. It's so funny you say that. I don't know if it's just with everything that's happening, because the holidays for me, just everything happening right now, this time of year is my favorite time to be down there, and I'm having a heart because we're there so much.
Yeah.
This is like the first stretch that we really aren't going to be there. It'd be like a 6-week, which sounds so horrible, but
I know what you're saying.
Not for any of like the Christmas stuff. And I agree. I just said to my husband, I'm like, I want to plan a trip for our family next year. I want to take the kids and just do a week down there for Christmas with everybody.
Yeah, I love
because there's something about that's nostalgia right there.
It is, and we went we went for Christmas back in 2001. And that's when the first time my girls ever experienced some of the storytellers. They didn't have as many and everything as what they do now, but then Chuck and I went the last 2 years for Festival of the Holidays, and that's my favorite part is the storytellers.
It really is, and talking about this like nostalgia episode, I've had a chance to talk to a couple other consultants, which has been really fun because with Amy being on maternity leave, it's a really cool way for even for like the audience to meet some of the agents. But one of the things that I have not talked about, and I can't even believe it though, is like the holiday portion, because the festival, like Epcot, each park has something special for me. Like I think about Hollywood Studios is my favorite. The decorations. I love to just go and walk
I love
through.
those nostalgic decorations.
Oh
Those
my
ones that are
gosh.
up on the lamppost with the
Me
Rudolph and the old
too. The old,
Santa.
yes,
Yes, those are my
yes.
favorite.
Like that's nostalgic. Or you go to Magic Kingdom in the tree. Like it's
Yes.
absolutely
Yep.
breathtaking.
And the Mickey
And then
wreaths
the
and
whole,
yeah.
yes. But the whole concept of Epcot, the Festival of Fantasy, is beautiful. Going to each country and see. I mean, that's learning too. I mean, I remember we would take the kids out for when we would go like around Christmas, and like they could learn more about that than they would at school for the week of Christmas. Do you know what I mean? And then Animal Kingdom, I'm just trying to think like with Animal Kingdom, they also have a beautiful tree.
They have a
But
beautiful tree and they have those puppets. I can't think what are those? I
yes,
can't
but
think
I
of the name
know
of it right now.
exactly what you're talking about.
But
They're
then they have all their
beautiful.
stuff is like decorated with like the animal, like the African theme.
Yes, yes,
And
it's absolutely
so
beautiful.
yes, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, now we're talking about these memories that we have, and I'm like,
I want
geez,
to
some of my
go.
favorites are just from a year. Yeah, I'm like, well, yeah,
Let's
maybe we
go.
just need a weekend to go hang out
Yeah.
there. Oh my goodness. If you could give somebody like one piece of advice, like somebody that says it's been, 20 years since I've gone or what, trying to reconnect like with Disney, what piece of advice would you give somebody?
Just get there.
Go.
Go. Don't worry. If it's
Take the time.
something that's important to you and that you want to have that memory, make sure you do that before you can't.
I think that's a true
It
life
is.
short. Like that's what
Life
we
is
all
short.
keep
I
saying.
mean,
Like it's just,
as I've
yeah.
gotten older, and I mean, it's important to us. Chuck will say to me, "Oh, we got 3 trips on the book," and I'm like, "You got a problem with that?"
Yeah. My thing is that's exactly what I can see. Yeah. You want to add one more?
And I'm like, he's like, "No, don't talk to me."
I love it. These are our memories. These are things that
And
this is why we
even
worked for
us
so
at
long.
our age,
That's what I love.
we still
Yeah.
love to go. And I mean, I love it when my kids go with us. And I've done girls trips. I've done, with just my daughters, my granddaughter. We've done the whole family. But I mean, and then Chuck and I alone. But I mean, it's just Walt Disney World, Disney in general, is just someplace that every person in your family can find magic.
And don't you feel like for you also, Disney is a part of your family?
Definitely.
Like it's a huge part of you.
It's a
and
huge
people
part
know
of my
that.
family. Yes.
That's probably why you're successful too, like even in booking trips, right? Like you didn't do that because it's something you had to do. It was something that you wanted to do for fun.
Yes.
And then like even I tease you now, but even like in retirement, when you book more now than it's like more than you ever have. And poor Sue's trying to be, like enjoy retirement and you're still planning these trips for everybody, which I love. But yeah, speaking of that, if somebody wanted to book a trip with you, what would they need to do, ma'am?
Reach out to me at SueGoofyGetaways.com.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, honestly, for just taking a few minutes to talk about. I feel like
thank
I learned
you
a couple
for
things because
asking.
I completely forgot about you being like the Grand Marshal. That's
You know how much
fantastic.
I love to talk about Disney, so I'm always
I
happy to do
know.
that. So,
And I love just sharing the stories and the incorporating, our families into watching my kids now as young adults in the love that they have of Disney, especially because we didn't start going to Disney. I went to Disney once as a child. And then the other times I was 22, 23. I'm even trying to think how old I was because my oldest Chucky was like 18 months when we went the first time as a family and just being hooked, but then not being able to afford that, but still having that love, whether it was through movies, whether it was whatever it was. And then being able to go, you kind of know the story, and if people have watched the podcast, they've heard why I started the agency and being able to go more, and then being able to take the kids, like our kids would never know that we couldn't have afforded it prior, right? I mean, we worked so hard to get where we are, but that it's such an instrumental part of them, and watching them want to make memories with their significant other or with their friends, or them talking about what they want to do with their families. It's just amazing to me that it's almost contagious, but it's generational. I used that word a little bit earlier, but watching that magic and watching your kids fall in love with it too. It is absolutely a core part of who I can say this to, like of who we are, you are.
yes.
Who, we joke around sometimes when I travel a lot for work, and Sue and I do actually live in the same town, but we chuckle because there are times we see each other more when we're at Disney than we do when we're at home.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just such an incredible part of life, and it's just Yeah, I've loved having these conversations this week with
I
people.
bet. I can
It's
understand
just
that.
really, really, and it's such an emotional tie
Sure.
also.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. I love
Yep.
it so much. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank
so much
you.
for
Thank you
taking
for
time
asking.
to, yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. So if you want to reach out to Sue at goofygetaways.com. But thank you so much. I
Yep, thank
appreciate you
you.
being here. If you watch the podcast, you know that Amy and I, because Amy's on maternity leave, of course, we do this thing called Amy's All In. And so we have to like pick the one thing, whatever the topic is that we're talking about. But since we're talking about like nostalgia and we're talking about Disney, I know this is hard, but if there's one thing that you're all in on when it comes to just the entire experience for Disney, what would it be?
Probably just the magic. Just
Yeah.
how magical they strive to make everything.
Yeah.
They do, Disney does a really good job with just making you love
The
seeing the
customer
kid.
service.
Yes, the
Yeah.
customer service is great. I
Is the
mean,
magic,
it is,
don't you
it
think?
is. It definitely,
That's what the
it's
magic
the
is.
magic. And that's what keeps bringing everybody, it's what keeps bringing me back. There's always something, every time I go, there's something new or something, I have a new experience.
Absolutely. I just said this when I was having the conversation. I was talking to Nadia a little bit earlier, and I think no matter what, no matter how many times you go, no matter who it is that you go with, every single time you go, you walk away with a memory. That's even me having an annual pass, living down there and going every single day of the week for however many. There's going to be a memory, whether it's something that I saw somebody do, whether it's something that made me feel a certain way, whether it's a snack I tried, whether it's something,
Yeah.
whatever. Every time you go, there's some kind of experience that you're going to take away.
I have people that say to me, don't you want to go somewhere else? Don't you want to go? Why do you
Yeah.
keep going back 3, 4 times a year? Because there's always something new.
Always
And
something
there's
new.
always some new experience that you get.
Yeah.
It's just,
I think I'm all in. I get to cheat a little bit because I've been doing the all ins with everybody, which probably, since it's out my podcast, I guess we can do whatever we want to do. But Amy's probably going to be like, I'm only gone for how long? And you, but I'm going to give another all in really. And I think it is that I'm all in on introducing the love of Disney and watching that love of Disney with your kids, like that does continue to go
absolutely.
on generation after
Yes.
generation. Yeah, I think that would be mine for sure.
Yeah. Molly and
All
Joe
right.
just did Jollywood Nights last week.
Oh, see, and that's a new experience for them, I bet, even
Yes,
as
it
many times as
was. And
she's gone.
yep, and they loved it. So they had such a great
See,
time.
good,
So yes.
good.
Yep.
See, there's always something new.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Always.
All right. We're counting on you, people. We're counting on you reaching out to us so we can
Right.
help you have these
Help you have
memories,
the
right?
magic. Experience magic.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you
Right.
so much. We appreciate you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right. So, for our next guest, who is not a stranger to the show, actually. So, see, I had a little way to get her back, and that's talking about obviously the nostalgia of Disney. So, we're going to continue that conversation. However, I'm going to let my guest introduce herself. So, go ahead, guest, explain who you are.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm Nadia Skidmore, and I am newly promoted as the Vice President of Onboarding and Company Culture here at Goofy Getaways, and I'm so excited to talk about Disney nostalgia today.
I know. I think when we were thinking about podcast topics and doing something different other than, okay, yeah, we can talk about the parks, we can talk about food, we can talk about the cruise line, like talking about the products, we really were like, you know what? Let's have a conversation about what it is that made all of us fall in love with Disney to begin with, and what is the nostalgia of that. So I know there's nostalgia for me, like even as a child and in my childhood, but I even have nostalgia as an adult. So I'm excited to hear from you. However, you want to share whatever you want to share. I'm just going to let you tell us if it was when you were 5 or if it's when you were 30, or so you just let's have a conversation about what it is for Nadia that made her fall in love with Disney. So
Right.
I think that one of the questions that I like to talk about or ask or conversations I have with people is, what is your first memory of Disney? I'm really interested to hear this.
Okay. So I think that I have some roots to Disney before I even really remember. This is a postcard that is dated January 23rd, 1981, and it's from my dad's mom, my grandma Moore. And it says, "Hi, Nadia. It is a long way away here in Texas. There are no Disney World people here, but there are cattle, oranges like in Florida, great fruits and vegetables. I love you, Grandma Moore. And at this point, I would have been probably about 3 years old. And I
Oh
know
my
that my
gosh.
very first trip to Walt Disney World, hence my get up today, was Christmas Day when I was 4 in 1982.
Oh, Nadia, I don't think I knew
That is,
that.
yeah, so that is my beginning. The Nadia lore. I didn't get to Disneyland until I was an adult. But in
Do you
terms
remember that? Like being four, like do you have like a
of,
specific, like you can
I,
remember that? It's a
I do.
feeling that you probably remember, right?
Sure, it's definitely a feeling. And then I remember key moments that aren't necessarily attached to anything really big, but that or I guess iconic would be more like it. Like I remember the car ride there because we spent the Christmas holidays with one of my dad's sisters. My dad was one of more than 10 siblings, so a really, really big family. And so we went down to Florida to Tampa to spend Christmas with Aunt Jeannie, Grandma Moore, a bunch of other family members. And
Okay.
I remember the car ride there and being like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Because, of course, we left so early on Christmas morning. And finally, I remember my dad saying, and I still use this analogy for small children, um, it's going to be about a full Sesame Street and most of a Mr. Rogers. And I knew to sit back and kind of relax in
I
the
love
car
that
ride.
because that's how you would know, right? Like
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
so
For sure.
smart.
Like to measure time when you're talking to someone that little, like how do they measure time? That would probably be like it's like multiple blueies, right? Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. But
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I do remember riding. This is interesting. And I'm like, did they let you do that then? I remember riding Dumbo, but alongside another child. There's a little boy, he had curly hair. I remember this because we both had curly
Mm-hmm.
hair. And our parents didn't go on the ride. Our parents stood back and took pictures. And somehow, like those, like my parents and this little boy's parents, I remember them being together and being like, have fun, kids.
Oh, yeah, like here
I
you go.
remember that ride.
Can
But
you
then,
remember that nowadays? Like that probably would not ever happen.
oh, yeah, no, no, I don't think that's how
I
that
love
rolls.
it though.
But then I also remember, I remember the castle, of course.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, um, I shouldn't say after that, but like the other thing that I remember really clearly was that it was very important to my mom that we go for the Christmas parade on Christmas Day. And what's funny is my mom is fairly petite, and the story goes that she actually couldn't see over the crowds, but
Oh
my
my
dad could see
God.
his shoulders. So I'm like, sorry to
I'll
any
tell you, Mom. I'll tell you. I tell you.
exactly. But the other thing that I've been thinking about lately, especially talking about like preparing for this podcast, is that I don't know how we would have known about the Christmas parade because I did a
Yeah.
little research and the parade wasn't televised until the year after that.
So it must be they just had the parade on Christmas Day, is what
Yeah,
I bet. And you
yeah, my
just got
mom
lucky
knew.
enough to see it, or she
Yeah,
knew.
we have to go on Christmas because we need to see the Christmas parade. I don't know. I don't know. I've never asked her like, how did you know?
How
In
did
my
you
mind,
know
I
that?
just always assumed, well, it's because we watched it on TV every year. We watched it on TV
But
every year.
no,
After
it wasn't
that, it
on
was
TV.
televised.
So when you
But
had your picture, when you were just talking about when you rode the ride and like the families that were like, oh, because like your parents didn't even really know those people, right? You kids
oh,
just got on
on
there.
those pictures,
Do you have a picture of that kid? Is that what it is? Or no, you rode the
I
ride, the kid rode the ride.
I have a picture, I believe, of that ride as well. So, yeah, I have a picture from that.
No,
Uh,
Nadia, I'm thinking, is the kid in the picture? We need to find who this kid
oh
is.
my gosh, find the kid. That would be amazing. I haven't seen it in years and years, but that would be
If you
that'd
ever
be
find the picture, we absolutely have to like have a social media.
on
People
blast,
are going to
right?
help us find this kid. I'm not even kidding. So we're going to put
Find
that on.
Nadia's
Yeah.
Dumbo
Okay. We
kid.
need to tell your parents we need to find the picture. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Do
for
you
sure.
have a favorite character or experience like when you think about, because I think characters are nostalgia personally. As an adult, there are some characters that I'm like, oh, they're newer and I love them. You know, everyone knows I'm a huge Tinkerbell. For me, that's from the time I was little to still at 52. What about you? Do you have a character or something like
So, like, here's what's
character?
funny is like I've been thinking so much about this particular podcast recording and thinking about things like, what was it? Like, what was that initial connection? And I have like very clear memories later in like upper elementary and things like watching Wonderful World of Disney and like taping that on the VCR, like from the TV. So we had like the full library of things and like listening to like Disney silly songs. But I don't have a ton of that like knowledge and like memory specifically of characters. I lived in northern Michigan. We had like two TV
Mhm.
channels. One of them was PBS.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
do remember a music of, I think it was Disneyland, book and tape. And I remember listening to that because I remember the
That.
music from like the Electric Light Parade and things and the Mickey Mouse like theme song.
Yes.
But I didn't meet a character until I was 12. And you can even see like you've known me for years now. Like you know
Mm-hmm.
like how confident and comfortable I am.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was not. I was actually kind of shy
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah.
ways,
Kind of
like
like, oh,
those sort of environments. And I think this is the very first picture with a character I've ever had. Like I didn't get any character photos
I
that first
love that
year.
though.
And
I
this
love
was
that you
when
still have
characters
that.
like roamed the park, right?
Yeah.
And and it's funny because as I look for photos with characters, so I guess like the answer to your question would actually be probably like a Mickey and Minnie Mouse because they
Well, that's all we knew, right? Like I think about Mickey, and I think for me with Tinkerbell, it was because when we talk about nostalgia, this is so funny because just the other night we were like decorating the tree, you know that we've been traveling an enormous amount. We were actually home and I was like, "Oh, I just wanted to sit on my couch with my, watch a movie, something." And I happened to mention to my husband, "Don't you remember when they had like the Sunday night Disney movies?" And that was a big thing. My mom would make fudge and we would make popcorn and
yeah,
we would sit and watch the movies. And the reason I bring that up is because Tinkerbell, the only reason I know her is because of the castle. She does her little
yeah,
exactly.
same,
And
same.
so it was so funny because a little bit later that night there was a Disney movie on, and I'm like, "Oh, I forgot that they brought that." But that is definitely a nostalgia. And like when you talk about book to tape, as a little kid,
Oh
I
yeah.
absolutely remember that. Or the VHS tapes where they had the whole
Oh,
Disney, it was at Disneyland. And you talk
hmm.
about nostalgia,
Oh
like
yeah.
those are definitely the things that make me bring back. I, as an adult, still have that same excitement, even when we are in Florida. We're there sometimes half the year, and it just. But even with my annual pass and going every day, I love all the parks. You know that, but Magic Kingdom is my favorite because still, Nadia, it doesn't matter how many times I go to that park, walking in to see the castle, I just still have such a feeling of it. I don't even know how to explain it other than excitement and
Yes.
like,
Yes.
wow, I can't believe that this, I don't know, it just takes you out of the reality of the real world sometimes and
Right.
into
And we
exactly
need
what he wanted to do.
And we need that. And I think too, like, I don't know about you, but like, this is certainly a thing for me where it's like, oh my gosh, the way that Disney parks and my experience there set me up for the future of my life without even realizing it and giving me these little tastes and hints of things that I had no
Mm-hmm.
idea, right? Like, it was watching stage shows when Hollywood Studios was new, watching that crazy Muppets live Muppets.
Yes.
Do you remember
Yeah.
that? And then
Yes.
after that, when it was replaced with Little Mermaid and then Beauty and the Beast, that I think may have been some of my first exposure to live entertainment and
Oh,
being like,
okay.
oh, you can sing and dance in front of people. That's exciting.
I didn't know I could do
And
that.
then, the other thing too, it's like so many of us forget that, like, when you walk through the gates of the park, when you're walking down Main Street, not only is some of that music connected to like some classic Disney things, that's also classic Broadway. And I was an
Oh,
adult before I realized, oh, that's put on your Sunday clothes from Hello Dolly. That's Surrey with the Fringe on Top from Oklahoma. And I didn't know those things when I was a kid.
right.
I didn't,
Right.
I didn't have any exposure to that.
Right.
Then in essence, it's like, oh, I did. I've always been around live entertainment and theatrical experiences through Disney. I just didn't really realize
Isn't
that
that something?
was.
And me knowing you and watching you perform, but knowing also your love for Broadway, and that's something that we, one of the many things that we have in common. But when you think about that now, that even might be Disney might even stem from like you have this love for Broadway. You know what I'm like? To me,
Oh
that
yeah.
correlation is like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that
like
might
a
have been where
Getaway.
you first were. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And I even
So,
remember like in college, like driving past like the casting building and being like, I should go there
I
someday.
should go
What
there.
if I could be in the Tarzan show?
You've
you
heard
know,
me say
so,
this, and I'm not kidding. I don't even know how I'm going to make this happen, but I am seriously, I'm going to make it happen. I don't know when. You already know what I'm going to
I know
say.
what you're saying.
When I retire, I'm not kidding. I want to be the fairy godmother.
Yep.
Because the electric parade is something when I think of nostalgia, the Main Street Electrical Parade has to be one of my favorite things. And I can close my eyes right now and I can see it and I can just put myself in that moment. And they've done, I love Paint the Night. I think that it's beautiful and it's vivid. Like they have done things, but to me, nothing beats that. And it just, ooh, that's when you think of
Oh,
nostalgia. I think of the fairy godmother. And I
oh,
remember when I was, actually, I think I was in it probably 25, had to have been it was my first time at Disney with Chuck and Chucky. Like it was our very first trip, and Chucky was like 18 months old. And I had been to Disney one other time with my family, and that was when I was younger, and that was just Magic Kingdom. But I honestly remember the fairy godmother, like literally like pointing at me with her wand and like smiling. And I think that that has stayed with me even now. I'm 25, so it was what, 27 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I want to be able to do that for somebody.
she manifested for you.
Yes, 100%. You
That's
know, and I
incredible.
never really talk about her being a favorite character of mine. I always say Tinkerbell because I love her so much. But in thinking about that, I think the fairy godmother plays a really big part for me in nostalgia too.
Oh, for sure.
I just happen to think about this. This is something that I haven't, I just happen to think about this. So if it throws you off, is there
Right.
like a smell of Disney or a
Mhm.
song that you instantly takes you to Disney?
Um,
Like I know the resorts all have smells and stuff now, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if there is a specific smell, but what I think I love the most just about smells at Disney is that it doesn't even occur to you that it's a thing that's being bestowed upon you, right? Like this,
uh-huh,
like a fully immersive experience until later, and you realize that, like,
yeah,
oh, I've actually craved this. And this doesn't connect to childhood nostalgia per se, but a thing that does make me go, I'm home, is the array of smells on Soarin' around the park.
yes,
And those,
yes,
it's just like, oh my gosh, like how do we get so lucky? How do we get so
I
lucky?
would agree.
But what's funny is, like, of course, and I have a feeling like you would be along the same like mindset, is it's like, okay, well then why are we not smelling all of these smells when we are in Remy's
When
or
we're everywhere, I always think that, like, what is
yeah,
it? Why have we not done
why
this?
why don't we
Oh
have like
yeah,
this specific smell and around this corner, around this
yeah.
moment? But yeah, I would say that, but in terms of song, the number one tune, like if I hear it, all of a sudden I am five again and like sitting in like the comfy seat in the back of our motorhome with like my books on tape and like a
Oh,
little corner, and
yeah.
it is the theme song from the Electric Light Parade. And of
Oh,
course Grim Grinning
yes,
Ghosts, because I
yes,
was a scaredy,
yes,
like I talked about, like being shy and like being scared of
yeah.
a bunch of things growing up. And it's funny because I'll look at photos and even like old home videos, and I'll watch how I progressively got more comfortable with my own little sense of self when I see those pictures, like the way that I stand differently or that I'm smiling differently, like alongside characters or in front of like a landmark or even on like a ride photo.
Yeah,
And those things like make me really happy because it's
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like there are ways that I can clock back and be like, oh yeah, I used to be afraid of things like Haunted Mansion and
And
Space
I'm
Mountain.
not anymore.
And then I remember like that turning point where it's like, oh no, that's actually really cool. And so yeah, like I associate the Grim Grinning Ghosts with Haunted Mansion long before I ever set foot on the ride because I was scared.
You were
I was so
scared.
scared of cat. Yeah.
You know what it is for me thinking about that is I'm walking right down the middle of Main Street, USA. And then you were going to laugh about this because you know how I feel about people who let their children put bubble wands in your face. You know how I feel about this.
You
We will
do.
not talk about that. That's nostalgia though, but that brings back different nostalgia. But what I do love is when you're walking down Main Street, especially if it's like in the morning, There are bubbles that are coming from where they're supposed to come from, not from the person standing in front of you while you're trying to watch, the parade or fireworks or something. But isn't it something how it can just take you right back?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I know, of course, the smell of the confectionery store, like
Yeah, that's
that's
kind of what I think too.
the best.
And I
Um,
don't like churros. I know, I know, I know. I
it's
don't
okay.
care for them, but the smell, like that is another one that's
Yes,
like,
I'm a
oh,
Disneyland churro girly, um,
okay,
but not world churro. And if anyone asks,
okay. There
there's a
is a difference.
there's
There's
a
a
difference. So if you're
difference.
like, I don't really think that I'm a churro person, and you go to Disneyland, give one a try and
Oh,
say,
it's different.
conduct your
Corn
experiment.
dogs, the corn dogs are different too. They are
Conduct
different
your
too.
experiment for sure. For sure.
So, is there anything like when you think back, is there any like childhood memory that you'd want to go back to and thinking about it and thinking about like a trip or your trips? Is there anything that you'd love to redo or do again or go back to that moment?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I talked about being a little bit shy, which I know is funny for anyone who knows me. And also like I was I was pretty nerdy as well. Like I don't think I had an
Mm,
awareness that I was, but I was definitely
yeah.
pretty nerdy. And I also like I grew up as a pageant kid. Bless my
Hmm.
for being brave enough to say, we've got to let her do it. She might run into some challenges because she's not a traditional pageant girl at all, but like we've got to let her do it. And
I think, because I'm going to interrupt for a minute, because I think that makes you who you are. And this is not what this podcast is about. But at some point in time, we will have a conversation with, or I will have a conversation with you because sharing your story, like I know a lot about you. We are actually very close friends on top of work colleagues. And listening to you tell me the story about your parents allowing you to do that, I think it's who made you who you are today.
for sure.
But man, do I love your mom and your dad, obviously, but even some of the sacrifice that they did for you to be able to do that. Because listening to that, and I don't know, it just all leads up to who you are and as a person, and I think what you are even for me as a friend, or probably as a daughter, or who you are to Goofy Getaways, which is a much bigger role than what any title could play. So I just want to say I love that
Thank
story and I
you.
love hearing
Yeah,
about that.
a
And it's
lot
so
of that.
emotional to me because I think that, you're like, here I'm this red-haired, short red hair, curly girl. Like when you tell the story, but you were not afraid to persist. And to me,
Yeah,
that goes to Walt Disney, right? Everyone
yeah,
told him
for sure.
no, or he
For
couldn't
sure.
do it, and then look at this legacy that man still leaves behind. So I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, go back to that spot. But
No,
when you
that's so
said
much
that,
for
it just
me.
really made me feel like that's nostalgic in itself.
Yeah. So I think like I just kind of grew up year to year getting a day, maybe two at Walt Disney World um, throughout my tween and teen years. Because if you don't know this, Orlando is the teenage girl pageant capital of the country. And
Yeah.
so, it's not uncommon to be like, oh, there's 51 of them all in like their little crowns and sashes at Magic Kingdom. And I remember a lot of times like I would go do that group experience, but like I'd be with my parents. I'd hang out with my mom or my aunt. I wouldn't be in the crop of all of the other girls because I was just a little different. And
Yeah.
I remember slowly kind of, coming into my own, kind of becoming like my own version of like the cool girl. And I'm so excited that I get to tell this story, Amy, because I remember thinking, I hope I get to talk about this. I was definitely like on my older end of teen years, and I was the older teen Michigan representative. And there were two junior teen girls from Michigan as well. And I remember all three of us did Magic Kingdom with our moms together. We went to I can't remember what the shop was called, but the shop where that used to be like right on Main Street where you could get your names or something embroidered on your
Yes. On
hat.
the ears.
And we
Yes.
all
Yeah.
got big sister and little sister hats. And I never been a big sister before. I'm little, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was like my big sister experience.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
being like, is this what it's like to have little sisters? Is this what it's like to be at Disney World with all of your siblings? And we had the most magical day. And Amy, I don't even know that you know this story, but at one point, one of the moms was like, we need to sit down, we need to have a meal somewhere. And we walked, one of the moms started to walk into Tony's right on Main Street.
Yeah.
And she's talking to the person at the host stand, and then she comes out and she goes, they'll be ready for us in a few minutes. And then we start to walk in when it's our turn. And all of a sudden I realized like I'm almost shoulder to shoulder passing by this stunningly beautiful woman, just someone where I'm like, she's so perfectly beautiful. And I know her, but I don't know her. And I'm like, do I know her? And then I look and I was like, and I know that person. And the Amy, it was Demi Moore, Bruce Willis, and their children with their
No.
security. And I stopped and I realized, and I spun around, and not to act on it, because despite the fact that I didn't know like famous people or anything like this, I knew enough.
Right.
Like you act a certain way, right? It's also
Yes.
pageants
Yes.
for teaching me really good manners
Yes.
and some
Yes.
social
Not
standards.
freaking out. Right.
And I like spun around just to be like, did I really see what I thought I saw? And the security person was like, please don't. And I go, oh no, I would. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh no, I would never.
Oh,
I
no,
was
no,
just
no.
curious. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah. Like, I just
Um,
wondered. I was really who I thought it was. Or, yeah.
and for me, you talk about like nostalgia even in adulthood. I know that that tracks back to one of the reasons why I love going back to Tony's, because I feel like Disney is just a
That
place where
connection
you never know what might happen.
or who
And
you might run into.
there's magic everywhere. And also, I've always been a Lady and the Tramp fan, and I love dogs. And so, even just to be there, like around that theming. But now Tony's has become like my pre-run Disney race solo meal.
Yeah, you do. That's true. I've been with you on your
I
trip.
love it.
Yeah, that is
It makes
true.
me so happy. It
I
makes
love that. See, I love that. All because of one person's vision. Like, all
yeah,
because of,
sure, for sure. And I
isn't
know
that?
like so often we say like, oh, like don't bring. We don't say this, but we hear people say, like, don't bring your small children to Disney.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to remember it. One, don't discount what they might actually remember,
Hmm.
whether it's a
Hmm.
feeling or a smell or even just a moment, because that could totally set them up for their futures and the things that they love. And like, I think
Yeah,
that, like there is nothing wrong with starting so early on introducing children to empathy and kindness
I would
and
agree.
the ways that we can be surprised by the things that happen around us. And like, there's no better example of that in terms of travel and vacation, as what
I
the
would
world
agree.
is.
I would
It's
agree with
incredible.
that.
It's absolutely incredible.
So, obviously, we've talked about all of our nostalgia things. Hopefully, it gets everybody excited about wanting to go back to Walt Disney World. I talk about the cruise line a lot because I love the cruise line. You guys know I love all the Disney products, but I think for all of us, it all started like either at Disneyland or Walt Disney World. So it is exciting, even as an adult, to be able to go back. And then when you have family or friends, I know as a mom, when I was able to take our boys for the first time and then seeing them have that love for Disney, or, I love the story about you taking your husband and then kind of getting him, he's like, oh, okay, I get it. So I think that all brings back to nostalgia. It'd be kind of fun. Sometime I'm going to ask Kalen because he doesn't go as much as we do, obviously, but wouldn't that be
Right.
fun to have a conversation? There's got to be a piece of nostalgia for him from the time that you guys went. It's just amazing to
Oh,
me. Just the
for sure.
magic of Disney.
Well, do you want to hear it really quick? The Kalen thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got him. Okay. Kalen is a big Muppet fan. I too am a very big Muppet fan.
Yes.
I brought him on our very first trip, which was 2019. We were both adults, his first time ever setting foot on any Disney property at all. And we went to Muppet Vision 3D. And I noticed that he kind of sat differently and he took it in a different way. He was comfortable in a different way than what he was in some of the other things.
Mm-hmm.
It was not until months later that I heard him telling someone about how emotional he felt watching that, because according to like his knowledge and experiences, it was the only big thing that Jim Henson had done that he had never seen before. So
Oh,
all these
wow.
years after this icon, right,
Mm-hmm.
of entertainment who created the legacy of the Muppets, Kalen as an adult was getting to experience something that Jim left for generations of people
That's really cool.
he had never seen before, like dozens and dozens of years after it was created. And he was just getting to experience it for the first time. And I think that that is just so entirely special. And getting to hear him
Yeah.
talk about that is
Yeah.
just, it's magical and I love
It
it.
is. And it's a lifelong memory. It's a core
Yeah.
memory. You're the one that always reminds me. And I always thought about kind of core memories because of course I love Inside Out. But even as an adult, you a few years ago said something about we did something together. And I remember you saying this is absolutely a core memory. And I remember it sticking with me. Like there are those times where those are those memories that you are never going to forget. And I think that for many people, I think Disney is a part of or one of those
Absolutely.
core memories for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of peers and friends that, they'll say like, "Oh, well, I was at Disney with a as a kid, but like I don't really remember it, but I remember I was so happy, or I remember how
Mm,
much I loved it, or I remember that it was a special. A lot of people will say it was a really special day I got with my grandma or my grandpa, and I think that that's really cool because I never experienced any Disney parks with my grandparents, but I certainly got to with my parents, and I love
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep, be
I don't know.
special.
I just think the magic, like it really is magic. Like I don't even know how else to say it, but like if you ever think of what is magic, it 100% is like, yeah, that's magic.
Yep,
Yeah.
magic is a feeling. Magic
Yeah,
results
I
in
would
feeling.
agree. I would agree. So, of course, if you're a listener of the podcast, you know this is the time where we always talk about like our Amy's all in. So, since our other Amy is on maternity leave, how
Yeah.
about you talk about what maybe your all in is when you're thinking about why don't we even just say the Disney and like a memory that you can make or however it's whatever you want to be all in on with the nostalgia. Do you have something that you're all in on?
I'm gonna say parade. Parade.
Yeah.
Because one, like it goes back all the way to my beginnings with Walt Disney World. And also because I think that this is a story that, when I my first job out of college was that I was a consultant for my sorority.
Yeah.
And I had a multi-month part of my contract where I was at Rollins College in Winter Park helping to develop a brand
Oh
new.
yeah, I know exactly where Rollins is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I lived there for many months, and hopefully my former boss is not listening because for the most part I've always been someone who follows all the rules.
Oh
We weren't
yeah.
supposed to drive, um,
Oh no.
liability and all these kind of things. But not only did I figure out how to use the public transit system in Orlando, I figured out how to take the bus from Rollins to Disney World, to Ticket and Transportation Center. I also borrowed a car a couple times. And I remember there was one day where all I had was one conference call. That was it for
Yep.
like 15 minutes or whatever. And Amy, I did that conference call holding my spot at the parade route at Disney MGM Studios, because that's
Yes.
what it's called then.
That's what it was then.
And I sat there all professional on my phone, probably honestly, probably wearing like a little sweater twin set and khakis, um, doing my little conference call and then being like, thank
Yeah.
you so much, doop boop, and a parade. And I love a parade. And I think that part
Yes,
of
I
that
do
is
too.
because of whether it's something that you witness in person or something that you witness
Hmm.
through like an Instagram reel or a TikTok
Yeah.
video. It is during a parade that a lot of times people make those moments of contact, those special moments with characters in the parade, or be like, oh, that's how I fell in
Hmm.
love with this character, or that's how I fell in love with this story, or what reconnected me to it, right?
Oh,
It's,
absolutely.
yeah, so I am all in
The
on a
parade.
parade,
And
all in.
mine's like very similar to that because for me, mine is the fireworks
Oh,
or
yeah.
even like the night. How about even like the nighttime entertainment? If it's the
Anything.
nighttime parade or the fireworks, there's something about the Disney music that they know what they're doing, right? I'm all in on the scores, the just the sound of Disney. How about that? Because the
Oh, yeah.
fireworks with the music that to me, there are so many times that it'll be playing. I can see the fireworks. I could see them every single night. And when my son did the college program and he worked at the Haunted Mansion, he would see the fireworks every night. And I know I said to him, like, do you ever get tired of that? And he's like, absolutely not, Mom. He's like, I stand here and I look at the fireworks and I'm like, I can't believe like this is what I get to do right now.
I mean, how can you get tired of hearing Jordan Fisher sing Happily Ever After?
That's what I
Like,
mean. And like each time I watch it, it can take me to a different memory. It can make me have a different feel.
for
So for
sure.
me, I'm all in on the fireworks, the music, just the nighttime that they do, the nighttime shows that they do. And then for them when they took the fireworks and then took them out to sea. I'm one of those people too that like when you're in the middle of the ocean and you're watching the fireworks, like that's nostalgia to me. I remember the first time that I ever did that. I remember it sucked me in and I wanted to take my kids. Like when I wanted to go on a Disney cruise, I wanted to do a cruise because I'd seen, pictures and I'd heard people having such a great time, but I wanted to actually go because I was like, oh, the fireworks. That's one of the big things for me. And my family are kind of like, Josh loves the fireworks, but everyone else is kind of, do we really have to do that? But they'll do that for me because they know that it's one of those
Oh,
like memory. I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah.
that's really special.
Yeah.
I have a
So
question for you that I've never asked you that's related to fireworks and at sea. Is it ever possible, or have you ever been on a Disney ship but seen another Disney ship's fireworks in the distance?
I have not,
I
but I
wonder.
do know people that have.
Oh, yeah?
I know
That
people
would
that
be
have. It is
incredible.
not something that is common, obviously. So I personally have not. I've definitely been at sea and seen other ships, other Disney ships, and like you get excited about that.
It feels like that
Um,
would be a really cool bucket list for you to figure out, like, we need to look at all
I
of
actually am
the
thinking
itineraries.
about that. Yeah.
Be like,
Because I
how?
have done like the horn battles. Like I have been able to be
Okay.
part of that, which is
Yep.
really cool. And I think that would be really awesome seeing the fireworks. Okay. I'm on a mission now. So I'm on a mission to figure that out and to figure out the picture. We're going to find that picture and find out who that person
Yeah,
was. I'm
for sure.
telling you.
That
But
little boy on Dumbo
oh
with
my
me.
goodness. Well, huge thanks to Nadia for kind of stepping in and talking about the nostalgia, some of our favorite things. Remember that you too can have some nostalgia. We can take you a whole week. We can help you. How about that? We can
Yeah,
help take
for
you
sure.
all these
And it's never
places so that
and
you
it's
can have.
never too late to make new Disney memories, right?
No, I would
First,
agree with that. I think every time you go, there's a memory that's made for sure. So, if you're interested in booking a trip to anywhere in the world, but Disney specifically, Universal, you name it, we've got you. So, you can go to our website, www.goofygetaways.com. You can take a little peek at our info about us and you can look and see we have bios on all of our consultants. And so you can take a peek, see if there's someone that you think would work well with you. And if not, then you can just submit a form and I will pick somebody for you. So we have a lot of amazing people. If you're interested in having Nadia plan your trip, Nadia does also plan trips. She's talking about her new position that she starts actually in January that we're really excited about, but you can also reach out to Nadia. Her email is nadia@goofygetaways.com.
wow.
Absolutely. And of course, all of our socials, you know that we're on
Yes.
Facebook, we have Instagram, and don't forget, we've got TikTok. We're starting to do TikTok. So with all of that being said, we are excited to have you here, have you listening. So like our little podcast, share it, all of those good things. Check out our website. Let us help lead you to the magic because that is absolutely what we're here to do. But
That's right.
until it's time for that, I guess what I can say is that we will see ya.
Real soon. And big love to our gal, Amy Fisher, on her exciting journey. We miss you. We love
I
you.
know we do miss her, but she'll be back before long.
Will. If you liked today's episode of the Goofy Getaways podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember to follow Goofy Getaways on social media so we can lead you to the magic.